archetype. In antiquity, the era before the mutation, the archetype would utilize what became known as a traditional economy through assimilation. The archetype would become endogenous and agricultural. Traditional economy centered around the individual and groups of individuals surviving by finding their own food and constructing his own shelter. These groups of individuals started out with 5, 7, 10, but would eventually grow upwards to 50 people, all kin-based, consisting of elders, adults, children, and babies. Eventually, these bands would begin developing their economy, starting to rely on agriculture. Of equal importance is that we understand initially the original woman was a savage, meaning wild, not cultivated. However, he did not live a life of brutality. Of course, bands fought one another, and over time, these fights turned into battles. These occurrences were motivated primarily for improved resources rather than personal agenda, meaning control, greed, lust, or power. In antiquity, the era before the mutation, the means for survival were 1, the ability to avoid famine, 2, the ability to defend and or improve your resources. However, unbeknownst to many, a third means of survival existed, a means that is unfortunately overlooked. I'm referring to human bondage. To avoid famine, in exchange for relief, groups would surrender themselves to other groups. 2 or more groups moving together as one unit became known as a tribe. A tribe was imposing. Therefore, groups would offer themselves in exchange for assistance if in their time of need. Another means of human bondage came within the aftermath of battle. Those who were victorious in the conflicts would take over the natural resources in its entirety. Those members who were not slain now belonged to the victorious tribe. Human bondage in antiquity, the era before the mutation, simply meant your allegiance now belonged to a new entity. You rendered your services to the necessity of this new entity. The term prisoner, servant, slave did not exist, and for that matter, neither did human bondage. However, the relationship between the two was well understood. Each band, each tribe utilized their relationship accordingly as they seemed fit. For example, those who had offered themselves now belonged to the new tribe. However, they would still be considered as outsiders. Therefore, they would be tasked with the menial responsibilities of their new environment. Those who had surrendered themselves would be allowed to remain on their tract of land to upkeep the natural resources. Also, they were allowed to maintain their personal freedoms as long as it did not interfere with their new means of loyalty. Those who were spoils of battle were well aware of their status and aware also of the fact that at any given time they could be borrowed, exchanged for, or traded. To show their appreciation, these spoils of battle would oftentimes go above and beyond to prove her value, his worthiness to the tribe. As bands and tribes interacted more and more with one another, so too did the usage of those who had rendered their service, those who had pledged their allegiance. Agriculturally, if I wanted livestock, however, I opted to maintain the livestock I already have, I can now offer 3 outsiders in exchange for 1 livestock. Sacrificially, if an offering was needed to appease our aspect of expression, instead of the purity of a member as a gift, I can now present the purity of an outsider, twofold, meaning twice as great. So, we can say, in antiquity, the era before the mutation, there were kin-based groups whose way of life was egalitarian. Again, to mean everyone is equal. Everyone is on the same sheet of music. Everyone has a different but important role for the overall growth, the overall health of the group. Their means of survival depended upon a traditional economy that would develop to include borrowing, exchanging, and trading livestock as having the highest value.